Starting over can feel like the hardest thing in the world, but what if it's actually one of God's greatest gifts to humanity? Recently, I relocated to Canada from Nigeria as an international student, and upon getting to Canada, everything felt different. The educational system was different, the weather was extremely different, the cultural shock was there, the business side of it was totally different from what I was used to back home in Nigeria as a business owner. And this really affected me for a while because I was always thinking and dwelling on, if I was in Nigeria, this is what I would have been able to do. If I was in Nigeria, I would have been able to achieve this. And at some point, I realized that dwelling the past was actually hindering me from moving forward and moving on to the next phase of my life, which is studying here in Canada. I began to change my mindset. I began to embrace the new life. I began to embrace the educational system. I began to adjust to the weather gradually, even though it still feels very tough at times. But then I'm no longer in that position where I'm constantly reminiscing or thinking about what I used to have or what my life used to be like while I was in Nigeria. Now I am looking for ways to adapt to the new environment that I'm in for as long as I have to be here, and that has actually helped me to move forward and get better and even gain more clarity about my life and purpose. And that is why today I want to encourage someone that might be watching this video. You might be in a situation whereby you find yourself having to start all over again. It could be in form of your career, it could be in form of starting a new home, it could be starting a new business, it could even be starting your ministry or diving into something completely new from what you are used to. I want to encourage you that starting over does not necessarily have to be a bad thing, especially because many times we get stuck in the past life that we have and we find it difficult to move forward. So whether you are in a new country, in a new environment, in a new workplace, trying to navigate a new career, it's time for you to embrace the new. It's time for you to embrace your new life of starting over. I understand that it can be quite overwhelming, especially because you probably have to learn new things, you probably have to adjust to a few things, and you probably have to even relate or interact with new set of people. But when you get to the point whereby you embrace the new life that you have, you see that things will begin to change for good. Most times, starting over is always good for us. And one thing I have realized as individuals is we get to a point in our lives whereby we settle for our comfort zone because we are so used to the way we do things, the way things usually work for us, the people that are around us. It makes us settle for less at times because you don't just want to push yourself beyond your limits. You don't want to explore new things, whether it's good or bad. You don't even want to explore anything else because you are just comfortable. I believe that you have to get to a point whereby starting over should not be a difficult thing for you to do, because one advantage we have as children of God is the fact that the Bible tells us that we can do all things through Christ that strengthens us. It means that we have the strength and the enablement of God to help us do whatever it is that we have to do. And that is why we should not settle. We should not settle, because I see a lot of people facing a crisis, maybe in their finances, in their academics, in their career, and they know that the next thing to do is to start over, to move on, to move to a new path, to move to a new career path, or start a new business, or to probably move to a new environment. But because people just don't want to inconvenience themselves, and for some people it might be because of the fear of what would people say? I'm used to this, everybody knows me with this kind of business, and me starting all over again, what would people say? How would people perceive me? This life is very personal. You cannot live your life based on what others think about you. As long as you are in line with God's will and God's purpose for your life, you don't want to base your decisions, important decisions of your life, on people's opinion. So if you are the type that the reason you're holding back is because of the fear of what people would say or how people would perceive you, then I challenge you today to forget about people's opinion, but focus on what life God is calling you into. God might be calling you into a different life entirely from what you're used to or what people know you for. So don't base your life decisions on people's opinion. So I'll be sharing a few tips with you on how to embrace and start a new life. And the first thing is to let go of the past. The past should always be in the past, because there's really nothing you can do about the past. You can't change the past, but you can always improve on the past, and you can make good of past experiences or lessons learned from the past and make use of them to actually have a better tomorrow. So if you are that type that you are always thinking about the past constantly, it's time for you to let go of the past and embrace the new life. So another thing that could help you to embrace the new is setting new intentions. Just imagine who you want to become and begin to align your goals and your visions in line with that. So for instance, let's say you feel it's time for you to change career path, and you want to change career from being a nurse to being a baker like me. Just as an example, just begin to look at, okay, what do I need to transition from being a nurse to being a baker? Because if you don't begin to put your focus on the new life that you want to embrace, there's no how your mind is going to align with your will. And for you to be able to start over again and start well, your mind needs to align with your will. The Bible says all things work together for good to those who love God and are called according to his purpose. Before you know it, things will begin to align and work together for your good. Another tip that could help you to embrace the new life is to have a good support system. If you know that you really want to embrace the new life, you need to surround yourself with good support system, people who believe in you, people who your values align, people who your faith align, and people who actually understand spiritual things. Because it's not everybody that understands spiritual things. There are some people that if you're telling them, oh, God is leading me to do this, they feel like God is telling you to do this, or you are deceiving yourself. No, you have to surround yourself with people who have the same values as you, so that they can be able to build you up and encourage you when times of discouragement comes. Because trust me, when you are starting over, times of discouragement will definitely come, and you need people who can encourage you and build your faith up in those periods. So one thing I want you to know is that it's never too late to start over. I know that for someone watching this, you might be feeling like, oh, age is no longer on my side. I'm 40 years. Oh, I'm 50 years. People have already gone ahead of me and have done this and they have made it. Starting it right now might not be a good decision. Well, I'm here to let you know that it's never too late to start. It's never too late. Age should never be a barrier. Your marital status should never be a barrier. The fact that you have kids should never be a barrier to starting over and embracing the new life that God is willing to give to you. So if you're thinking, oh, how do I even start over again? The first place to start is to fellowship with the Holy Spirit. You need to ask God. You have to spend time with God, because it's the one that would inspire your heart to see the things or the steps you need to take for you to get to the new phase of your life that you have to embrace. Starting over involves evolving and becoming a better version of yourself, not dwelling on what you used to be or where you're coming from, but believing in who you can become, what you can make of yourself. For someone who might be watching this and you're feeling like, oh, I don't have a good educational background, that's why I'm at a disadvantage. Well, it's not too late for you to start getting education. You might feel like, oh, I'm getting old. How will I go back to school? I believe that when there's a will, there's always a way. And if you are willing, God will definitely make a way for you. So don't shut your heart to change. Don't shut your heart to starting again or starting over, because our God is a God of new beginnings. He's a God of new things, and in as much as you're willing to open up your mind to embrace the will of God for your life, He's going to help you, He's going to empower you and support you to become all that He has created you to be. My name is Lanike Awoleke, and thank you for being a part of today's episode on Thrive with Lanike. And if you have any stories of you starting over again or beginning again, I would like to read your story in the comment section. If you found this video insightful and helpful, I'd like you to give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I'll be looking forward to seeing you in the next episode. Till then, keep thriving.